Hey guys, Will here with Bettor Analysis. Thanks so much for tuning in, where today I'm going to be breaking down the Saints and the Bucs matchup. So the Saints started out as 4.5 point favorites. A lot of money has since come in on the Bucs. So we've seen a full point drop in the spread to now 3.5 points. And this is even with the Saints dominating the Bucs in both matchups last year. But as we know, the past is not indicative of future performance, and that's especially true when you sign Tom Brady in the offseason. You know, Tom Brady at the helm, much different looking team than the Bucs were with Winston. Winston threw a lot of interceptions and especially struggled against this Saints secondary. His completion rate was under 50% last year, threw 4 picks. Really set the Saints up with short fields due to unnecessary turnovers. Brees only threw for 230 yards, and Kamara rushed for under 100 yards, yet they still put up 34 points. So don't expect short fields with Brady at the helm in this matchup. And then the over-under sitting at 49.5 points is quite intriguing. I mean, you have the two most highly anticipated offenses facing off against each other in a dome, no crowd noise. I think all signs point to a high-scoring affair in this one. And in this video, I'll be breaking down what Vegas is pricing in and where I think there's value. So a reminder here at Bettor Analysis, I don't provide picks or touts. Rather, I give you the best information and insight, so you can use that data and make more informed and better decisions. So in this next segment, in the trenches, we'll be looking at specific matchups on both sides of the ball. First, starting out with Tampa Bay on offense. Credit to Pro Football Focus for the graphic. So Brady at the helm, obviously much different looking offense. And trying to do analysis on Brady versus the Saints secondary, not too much historical data there. The last time they faced off against each other was in 2017, and Brady was throwing into a very similar looking secondary as the Saints had this year. Marshawn Lattimore, PJ Williams, Marcus Williams, all part of that 2017 team that Brady absolutely tore apart. Brady threw 450 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he completed 77% of his passes. So a lot of success Brady's had against this secondary. He did struggle last year, and obviously didn't take the Patriots as far as one would expect a Patriots team to go, but a lot of that could be attributed to the fact that he was under pressure a lot last year, and he had an abysmal 36% completion rate when he was under pressure. Surprisingly, he was only sacked 28 times last year, which was the 5th lowest in the league. And I think a lot of that was due to the fact, Brady's a smart quarterback. When he's under pressure, he's going to throw the ball away, not get taken down for a loss. Whereas, the same can't be said about the Bucs quarterback last year in Winston. Winston was sacked 50 times. And I think a lot of that was due to the fact, he scrambles a lot, gets his offensive lineman out of position, gets tackled behind the line. So not necessarily the offensive line his fault there, but the Bucs did bolster their line, selecting Tristan Wirfs out of the first round. He's coming from Iowa. His scouting report notes when he gets clean engagement, he'll take defensive linemen off the screen. So obviously very strong linemen. So, I feel like Brady should get the pass protection that he didn't get in New England. Many critics of Brady believe he doesn't have the arm strength, he doesn't have the accuracy that he did in the past. But interestingly enough, when Brady was not under pressure last year, he completed 70% of his passes, and that was with a very weak receiving core. So we should see if Brady has that same success. He's got much stronger receiving weapons this year that can gain separation from defenses, that won't require him to hold on the ball as long as he did in New England, waiting for things to open up. So Brady's going to be facing off against a secondary that's led by veteran Jenkins at corner. He had a solid year last year. He had 4 picks, and he picked off Brady once last year. He held Brady to a 28% completion rate, although last year when Jenkins faced off against the Bucs, he really struggled trying to keep up with Mike Evans. Evans had 8 catches, 188 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Came back, Marshawn Lattimore, P.J. Williams, who were able to, for the most part, keep the Bucs offense last year from putting up big yardage through the air. With one of the best coverage safeties in Marcus Williams, and then they acquired Malcolm Jenkins from Philly. They'll definitely be able to prevent Evans and Godwin from putting up quick scores, big plays, keeping the ball in front of them. So we look at Saints linebacker Davis. Pro Football Focus has him pretty highly rated here. His stats may not be indicative of this rating. He only had 4 sacks and 1 interception last year. He did have 100 tackles. He was strong against the run, but in this one, I really don't think Tampa Bay is going to be coming out running too often. And then the Saints really struggled last year against tight ends, gave up some of the most receptions and yards allowed, and they're going to be going off against a 3-headed monster and Gronk, Howard, Brady, really strong tight end receiving threats. So, PFF showing Tampa Bay, their receiving core has the biggest advantage this week out of any other teams. So should be a great opportunity for the Bucs to put up a lot of passing yards in Brady's first game. So then on the other side of the ball, looking at the Saints on offense, Bucs on defense, the Bucs are sending out an almost identical secondary as they did last year. Secondary that really struggled last year, led up the second most passing yards in the league, as opposed to their defense against rushing was one of the strongest. They were the best in the league, fewest rushing yards allowed. And in both games last year, Kamara was held to under 70 yards rushing, although he did haul in 16 receptions in both of those games. Michael Thomas, in his first game against the Bucs last year, he had Terry Bridgewater throwing to him. He brought in 91% of the balls thrown to him for 182 yards for his first game. Bridgewater was able to exploit this really weak secondary, in particular Whitehead, safety. He got 2 touchdowns against Whitehead. And then in Week 11, Thomas had a lot of success against Sean Murphy, another cornerback that's going to be out there on the field for this matchup against the Saints. Murphy struggled to cover Thomas, let up 4-4 for a touchdown, caught 80% of the balls from Brees, and Thomas was able to bring in 114 yards in that game. So Saints add another very talented receiver in Emmanuel Sanders. This should provide some relief to Thomas. Sanders has struggled with drop balls in his career, but I remind you that when he had Peyton Manning throwing to him in 2014, he hauled in 1,500 yards. So he's going to have another Hall of Famer passing to him, and Drew Brees, I'd expect him to be effective immediately in Game 1 in this matchup against the Bucs. Brees obviously runs a more pass-oriented offense. He threw the ball 66% of the time last year. They got a strong offensive line. He doesn't get sacked too often. And they just drafted a center out of Michigan, who'll be transitioning to guard here in Ruiz. So, again, another really obviously pass-oriented offense, again, going against a really weak Bucs secondary. In conclusion, you get the Bucs 3.5-point underdogs. Vegas is definitely pricing in that even with the new weapons that Brady has, he's going to be unable to keep up with Brees and his explosive offense. New Orleans, on the defensive side of the ball, has some of the strongest safeties in the league. They're going to prevent big plays from Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Brady's going to be unable to put up quick scores, whereas Brees, he'll continue to be able to put up big points. He's dominated this Tampa Bay secondary in the past, and Tampa's got a very similar looking secondary this year. But I do think there's a lot of value with Brady and his three-headed monster tight ends. They're going to be available underneath. He's going to put up some big numbers. He's got a stronger offensive line, and he's proven last year that he can still be one of the top quarterbacks in the league if he has time in the pocket. So I think Tampa Bay keeps this one close. And then looking at the over-under, Vegas is definitely pricing in Brady's time management skills in New England. When looking at his numbers, he has a habit of keeping high-scoring offenses off the field. Just a smart quarterback. He'll drain the clock as much as he can. And then to see Tampa Bay pick up McCoy and Fournette this offseason, I definitely think they plan on running the ball maybe more than they did in the past few years. So, I really think that the Bucs are going to have trouble containing Brees, and it's really going to force Brady to change that game plan of potentially running the ball more. If they're playing catch-up, he's going to have to pass. He's going to have to light up the scoreboard to keep up rather than burn the clock. So, I do think Brady has a big advantage traveling to New Orleans, playing in the Dome, no crowd. He's obviously a veteran play caller. He can pick up on defenses, calling audibles at the line. I really think he's going to be able to extend a lot of drives that he wouldn't necessarily be able to before this coronavirus era. So, obviously, more conducive to points being put up on the board. I expect this one to be an exciting game. It's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be very similar to when Brady was facing off against the Saints team in 2017, where he put up 400 yards passing. So I like the over in this game. So thank you very much for watching my episode. Subscribe below if you found that this information is helpful and made you a better, more informed bettor. Thank you.